Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Micks Mowers. In this episode we're going to see a Hayter 41 lawnmower which I picked up for just over £20 from my local marketplace. The lawnmower does run, but however it runs and hunts, so it has a carburetor problem, gasket diaphragm issue or something along that line. It also has a height adjustment problem, so first of all I want to get that sorted, get that fixed. I know the lawnmower does run, but without a height adjustment I'm not going to sell this lawnmower on. So let's get down and dirty, let's have a look at this lawnmower and see if we can't fix this height adjustment problem that it currently has.
Do you feel the vibes?
Okay, and here is this lawnmower. So it's a Hayter 41 Hawk with a 3.75 Briggs & Stratton engine, or the 3.5 Classic lawnmower. It's a push mower. It's in relatively good condition. It does have a grass box, dead man's handle. All seems to be together. However, there is a slight issue with this, and that is that the height adjustment no longer works. The lawnmower just sits on the ground. I did notice that when I picked it up, it also came with this little tiny spring which is for holding back the metal bar. So I don't know whether or not it's just this has come adrift or the metal bar has actually broken itself. I'm hoping it's not actually bodywork damage inside which will stop this from actually working. The metal bar is tight there, but if we have a quick look at what happens when I tip the wheels around the other way, it just drops to the ground. So there's actually no height adjustment there at all. That bar isn't doing anything, and with the bar in the lower position where it is now, you can see that this bar is just free to move. So it tells me it's sheared off inside, which is quite a common fault with these little lawnmowers. The height adjustment is worked by pushing this lever underneath here, and then that will then give you, with a bit of lift, that give you the locking mechanism, which it locks there as I say, but it's not actually doing its job, so to speak. It's not. The front wheels are not in tow, so the back is actually working, but the front isn't. As I say, it does actually run, which is quite good. Let's try and fire this lawnmower up. I have had it fired up when I purchased it. It's not been started for a day or two, so I put a dead man's handle in. So it does actually hunt, but it does clear after a while, so that suspects it to be a dirty tank and carburetor, which I can clean. I'm hoping to get away with not doing the diaphragm, but if it does need a new diaphragm, then I should change that also. So the first thing I want to do is I want to drain the oil out of this machine, so that when I tip it over onto its side to investigate this adjustment rod, I'm not going to be tipping oil over into the manifold or into a carburetor. I should also take the tank off to make sure there's no fuel in it, so pretty much I can tip this lawnmower upside down if need be, so I can get right inside it and get it broken down. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the oil and the tank. Rightio, let's get cracking. So first of all I want to just take out this oil dipstick, loosen that off and see what that looks like. Well, there's next to no oil in this lawnmower at all. I can see some oil in there, but I think it is very, very low. Let's undo that again. Yeah, it's actually reading, well, I've got a bit on there, but that might be why I just dropped it off, but there's actually no oil in this at all. There's a bit in the bottom, which is good. And these work on a splash system anyway. The piston pretty much just dips into it, but either way it should have some oil in there. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to drain out the excess oil that's in here, take that out. Not that there's going to be a lot to come out of it. So I use my vacuum pump just to get that started. And as you can see here, the pipe is clear, and by putting this in and just pumping on this tank, starts to bring the oil up, and it's starting to come up the tube. So there's no mess involved. that a couple of pumps, and that just starts to suck the oil out of it. So I'll continue doing this, let the oil fill out, I'll turn the lawnmower around, and then we'll take this tank and carburetor system off. Rightio, so now the lawnmower is up on the stand. We can now start to investigate the fuel issue very quickly, because I want to get to grips with what's going on inside here while it's hunting. The fuel doesn't smell of a lot of anything, there's not a lot of potency there, so it will need to be tank flushed. Let's get the air filter off. A Phillips screwdriver. Incidentally, this air filter's ran the wrong way, it should be ran the other way, which gives me an indication that someone's actually been in here to have a little sneaky peek. It's ran the wrong way. The bolt comes off very simply. This air filter should be around that way, like so. So yeah, the air filter actually isn't in bad condition. There's a lot of oil on there, but I can see the air filter through it. It's one of the older style Briggs air filters. I may change this out for one of the newer style ones without this section here. But we'll see how we get on. So ideally what we're looking at first off is make sure the governor springs are in place, which they are. There's one here and there's one just here, and this weather vane does all move. I would say it needs adjusting. This tab you can push forward slightly to the front of the motor to give you slightly more revs, but without having the carburetor cleaned first and all that sort of stuff, we won't really know how it's running. There's lots of oil residue sitting on top of a tank, so this lawnmower's probably been tipped up before, which probably leads me to think why the height adjustment has gone. Someone's been over the back to have a little look inside it. So either way, we know that the carburetor does need doing, and also it requires a bit of a tank flush. So let's get the sockets out and let's remove this tank system. I'd say it'd probably be a 3/8 and a 3/8. This has got one of the other style nuts on it, normally 1/2 inch or 13mm, but this has got a small one on here, so let's remove that. Take that out, and then 1 3/8 also on the front of the tank, just located here. Wasn't particularly tight either. So let's take that off. Let's put the fuel cap back on so I don't lose it. And now literally all we're going to do is remove the fuel tank and carburetor together. Just gently ease it off the engine, like so. It comes off this lug here as well. And all we want to do literally is just get hold of this linkage, tip the carburetor down at the front, and then that tank will just work its way off. I don't think it's been off for a little while, this one, so it's a little bit temperamental. There it comes, and that's it. So the tank will be put down to one side. Just make sure you keep an eye on all these linkages, make sure they don't fall off, because they're vital for the machine to work. Okay, so with the fuel tank put to one side, we can clean that up later on. We can now tip this lawnmower up on its side. It's got no oil in it, it's got no fuel connected to it at all, so we're in a position now where this lawnmower is completely empty and safe for us to tip over. Just one tip, just remove that spark plug HT lead. That way we know this engine, there's no way it can fire up at all, so the engine is now safe to work on. Okay, right, let's get the lawnmower up on its side. I might just turn it around quickly, and then we can then investigate the reason as to why this lawnmower height adjustment has this problem. Right, with the lawnmower up on its side, we can now start to investigate the reasons as to why this lawnmower is having issues. And I think I've spotted it already. I'm just locking the tripod off. Okay, so a lot of dirt, a lot of grime in here, which needs clean off. Good thing with these are aluminium decks, so they're very, very rarely rusted at all. The point of issue was this bar that was freely moving, and if I can just pick you up ever so slightly, let me just lock you off on the tripod so you're not going all over the place. If I wiggle the bar at the front, you can see just in here the bar is moving, it's sheared off and it's actually broken in that place just there. Let me get a better angle of it for you. So here's the bar. That piece is sheared right off, that's broken. So that's no good for anything. And the actual other piece of the bar is located down inside here. So that's the part that's actually missing or broken. So hopefully we can get to that. There's just a little tiny washer that I need to remove on this top side, just located here, a little tiny washer which I can take off. So that's that bit that comes off. These do commonly break on these elbow ends. I'll show you complete when it comes out. And then the other bar, literally, I'll spin you around. The other bar literally connects to the front axle just here. And it's got some kind of nut system on there. That looks a bit different to what it normally doesn't look standard. So I'll probably take the front wheel off just so I can get easy access to it. I'll undo these two screws here just so I can get to the adjustment mechanism. So I'll strip that all down and then I'll see if I can find the spare part. But fortunately for me, it's looking like that is a part I suspected it was going to be. So first things first, I want to clear all this section off here so it's nice and clean. I may remove the blade because I may have to remove some of this housing to gain access. So let me get it looking nice and clean and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've now removed the blade and had a bit of a general tidy up. And first thing I can see, we've got some bolts to remove, which are going to be 10mm just here, up the top. And that should hopefully release some of this cowling so I can gain access into this underside of a mower. Let's take that off. Yeah, that's made that loose. There's another one somewhere. There's another one just up in here, I can see. Let's remove that one. I'll lose a nut. Here it is. That's that one. Okay, and it looks like we also have some more screws just down here. They're Phillips. Just grab a Phillips screwdriver quickly. Yeah, I've got one. So this is all linked by the looks of it. So we get a Phillips screwdriver in there, and we'll just take these out. So that's all connected to a roller as well. I nearly lost a whole mower then. Okay, couple of bits there. That's better. So let's have a look now. It's starting to come away. Feels like there's one more hidden somewhere. Let me just investigate where that is and I'll come back to you. Rightio, I think I found it and it's right up in the top, up in here, these two nuts. I don't know if you can make them out. Yeah, you've got them just there. So I'm just going to remove that 10mm there. Get rid of that one. The access isn't brilliant. In fact, it's darn near ridiculous. Let me bring it around the other side. That might give me a better access window. That's it. I might try and sneak in there. It's not going to allow me to do it. It's tricky. So I'm going to remove the whole roller, which are these nuts up here. I'm going to take those off as well. and that should release the whole roller mechanism, hopefully. Drop one there, I'll get back in a minute, and this one here. Not quite. That's the second one. That's it. Now this whole roller assembly, which I will be showing you, that will now just literally comes away. I'll put that just to one side. Okay, that gives it a bit better access into the lawnmower itself. And as you can see, I've got two nuts here. So let's get that one done. Right, that's those two done, and I've just found there's another one right down the bottom, right down in here. Let me just try and get a better angle for you. And it's right down up in there, if you can just about make that out of the back. So let's remove that one as well. We're nearly there. Right, so that's all the bolts, I believe, now removed. So this cowling should now theoretically slide off and out. And there it is. So that's now exposed, the entire underside. Quick little clean. Fantastic. Right, so now I've all that broken down, you can now clearly see that it actually has sheared off on this top side, which is linked to the front wheel, which I have removed. So I'm now going to remove this bar, which is just held on by this little tiny clip at the front. Just follow the bar down to the front and you'll see it. Let's take that off and let's reinsert the new bar. Right, with that disconnected from the top of this front axle here where my thumb is, you can now just get this bar and slide it out of place, and there it is, if that's where it's snapped. Okay, so the other piece of the bar is on the back of the roller. I suppose you could try and get that welded up if possible as a quick fix, but let's try and just put a new part straight onto it, and then we can then see where the new one lines up and where the spring is attached to give you the tension required to adjust this height adjustment. So let's get the new part and then we'll try and fit it. Okay, so I've got the part and it is exactly the same, which is good, and that's where the last part broke, just on my elbow there. So all we're going to do is we're going to thread this into the front side of the machine. This curved bit goes at the back and this little piece goes at the front. So all we do is, I'll put it this way, actually might be easier. That goes around to the front like so. That sits in position. I'm now going to put the front wheel back on, put the retaining clip back on, so that's all actually in place. That just sits on the front axle, just here, sits on there. I'll just put the clip in place. If you want to see that, I'll just adjust you up just to get a better view. So that goes in place there, and then just a couple of these self-tightening clips that go on top. That one on first, like so, and then this one just sneaks on top of that, and then I'll give it a little bit of a tap down just to make sure it's seated. A bit fiddly, but once they bite, that's it, they're on then. So that's now on in place and where it needs to be, so that's good. So that's the front bit done. So now we can concentrate back on this underside, start to put it all back together. There is a little tiny screw just here, a bolt just here. It's either this one or this one. That's where that big spring goes on. And I did notice a bolt was missing to that. So I may have to find just another bolt just to put in that place so that the spring goes on the back side of here, of this curve, and it stretches all the way back down to here, and that's what gives you a tension onto the lawnmower. So let's start putting it back together and hopefully we might have this problem solved. And I've already connected the spring on the far side of this of this lever mechanism, and that's actually, funny enough, where it snaps, so there's a lot of tension on there. So next thing we need to do is bring the rear roller in, and as you can see, here's the roller itself, and on the back side of the roller you'll see the other side of the bar, and that's where it's actually sheared off. So I need to remove this from here, and it's only located on one hole, so it's easy, there's no mucking about. Take the sort of spring washer off, take all that off, refit the bar to this, fit the whole rear roller back in, and then replace any nuts. So let's try and get it fitted, and then try and get this rear roller in situ where the bar will actually take the spring. Right, so that was a little bit fiddly, but now the spring is actually on the new rod up the top in here. That's now fitted, and this location lug is fitted either side of the markings where the bolts go, and also down here on the axle that is now located into there. So now we're in a position where we can now start to really put together this height adjustment and roller assembly, and it's pretty much a reverse of what we did. So what I may do is just put you on time lapse and just work my way through it and relocate where everything goes. Right, so that's all now fitted back together as it should be. The spring has come off the bar at the back, but I've got access to that. It's just a bit tricky to get the last couple of bolts that fitted just down into here, so I had to take the lawnmower right up upside down pretty much to get it all in, but all the bolts are in place where they need to be, which is good. So I'll just have a quick slurp of my old coffee. It isn't very warm out here at all. Right, so we're nearly in a place position where we can now start to fit this spring, and it is missing one bolt, which is located, let me try and swing you in here a little tiny bit if I can, it's a bit tricky. So right at the back, just above the other bolt, let me get a screwdriver to show you, there is another hole just here, so that needs a bolt to go into there. However, it doesn't need to go in all the way, it needs to be in about 3/4 of the way, so that when you fit the spring to the actual bolt, it's got somewhere to sit behind it. So it sits on 2 points, one on the back behind that bolt, and then it sits on this metal bar, the little U shape in the bar in the back, just up in there. Other side sits onto that. So I'm now going to put that spring on one end on there and one end on the bolt. Just got to find a bolt in my toolbox. I'm sure I've got a little 10mm bolt to fit that, and then that spring should be fitted, and we can then test this height assembly. So I'm going to find a quick bolt and I'll be straight back. Okay, so now I had to just move this roller out slightly just to get some location on that nut. As you can see, this nut here now is now in place, and it's wound in about 3/4 of the way. Now this spring that's fallen down here, there it is, this spring will now hook onto this side here like that, and then be pulled so that the other side sits snugly on that bolt just there. So it's got a fair old way to go, and what I intend to do is tie a piece of string around this end of this collar and thread it through all the way around to the front to bring it out here, and I'll pull on it to get some tension on that. That's the easiest way I can figure out to get tension on this here. I have lost one of the nuts which goes on here. It fell behind the mower, so it'll turn up in a minute, and when it does, I should fit that back on. So just going to try and stretch this spring, which is quite a heavy duty spring actually. It's going to take some pulling, but by pulling one end on that bolt and then pulling it through this top side of this locator, then I should better overcome that. So let me get a bit of string or something, and a heavy duty bit of wire, something just to hook that back, and then I should better get that spring fitted. Right, so I've now got the spring on the back of the bolt. And I've just used a piece of pull cord which has gone through the front, as I said, as you can see wiggling around, and I'm just hoping to try and get it underneath this bar. Let me get my hand out of the way. So it's just gone, it's behind the bar, and hopefully if the knot holds, that should then, with a bit of pulling, that should then go over top of that. So let me just wrap it around my hand a few times just to get a decent purchase on it, and then the question, literally, I can't see anything because I'm working a bit blind here. That feels like it's nearly got it. It has. I need a screwdriver. Just literally, oops, sorry to knock you. Just to bring that up over the other side of it. It's so nearly there, it's not even funny. So it's caught it, but actually got it. Just come on the other side of it. I'm hoping it's not going to whack back and pinch my fingers. It literally just wants to come over the top of that there. But as I pull it, I'm having problems actually locating it around. So let's wrap it around this ratchet here. Just give me a better. Oh, it's nearly there. Can you see how close I am? It's not even funny, but access is a real pig. I don't know if that's got it or not. Yeah, look at that, that's got it. So, sorry about the hands in a way, but it's a bit of a cack-handed operation. But now, hopefully, with the pushing the button on the height adjuster, you can see the spring has now got tension on it. So let me just cut a bit of string off. We'll have the mower back on its side, on its top again, and we'll just make sure that that's all working. Rightio, so now we're back, and I've just fitted the blade to the bottom of the lawnmower. That's all now fitted back on, and also I found that last nut as well. It was hiding behind a cowling, so that's all now fitted. So all the bolts are now in place, blade's back on, the spring has now been done, and I've cut the cord inside. So let's have a quick test to see if this is working. There's definitely tension on the bar, which is fantastic. That looks good. So this is in the lower position, and on these Hayter 41s, these older styles, the handle to adjust the height is just under here, and it's a question of, some of it's gravity fed, some of it is push fed. So you literally just pull the handle up, this little green button here, pull the handle up, and up the lawnmower jumps. And then to set your height, you pull the handle in, and you physically have to push the lawnmower down when it's not running, of course. Push it down to your desired height, let go of it, and it'll stay there. So there you go. That's plenty of tension. It's all working back how it should be. I'm super pleased. Okay, so that's all now up and running as it should be. Well, the height adjustment anyway. Still to do is a carburetor, gasket diaphragm possibly, and a tank flush, and just a general all-round clean. I'm also going to do a new edge on the blade as well, put some more oil in, general tidy up, and this lawnmower will go up for sale. Now bearing in mind, I only paid just about £22, £25 for this lawnmower in running condition, however needed TLC. This lawnmower, when it's up and running, should fetch anywhere between the £90 to £150 mark in the height of the season. So there's a bit of profit to be made on this lawnmower, and a very, very simple fix. I had a quick look on the local sites that sell these parts, and anywhere from eBay to Amazon, you can pick this bar up from anywhere between £4 to £8, some genuine, some not. And as you can see, it probably took me, all in all, without obviously going through the review with you guys, took me about 20 minutes to fix this. It's nothing, it's pennies. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it interesting, and hope you found it useful. And if you have, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also to tap the bell notification, so when I release more videos, you'll get a little pop-up to say that I've done so. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Micks Mowers, and I'll see you again soon.
Do you feel the